Jacque Robinson stepping down from a District 1 council seat to run for mayor. She's serving as vice mayor right now. She's here to make a final push and tell us why she should be the mayor of this city. Thanks for being here this early in the morning.
Thank you.
Welcome. I know you're running around
Thank you.
talking to everyone. And you know, I am sure at all of these debates and forums that you go to, the embezzlement is always the first question.
Yes.
And you know, it is such a big deal. And you know, part of that question does speak to Michael Beck. You know, should he stay? Should he go? And I know a lot of the answers are, well, we have to wait and see, and we have to get more information. The thing about that, though, is that you know, for the citizens, the embezzlement is a big breaking news. You know, that we've just found out about this year, but for the city, this is something with the audit that you've known for a while. So how much more information do we need to make a decision on what should happen with Michael Beck?
Well, the City Council found out about the initial investigation probably approximately about midway through 2014. And so we didn't know any more details than the public, so to speak, until later on in the year, right before the information was released to the public as well. And so, as I've said before, you know, I was equally shocked and dismayed, but now we're at a point where we're moving forward. There have been some steps taken by the city manager to fire certain department heads in Public Works and the finance department, but there still remains a ton of information to be investigated, and that's why I say in the totality of the circumstances, once we have the full information, that would be a point at which I would feel comfortable to be able to have full discussion.
When should that happen? When should we get all this information? Because even with the employees that were let go, you know, it was very cagey as far as was it tied to the embezzlement scandal or not?
Well, both of them resigned, but again, there's still a host of employees being interviewed, and we don't know how many more may or may not be reprimanded in terms of what protocols did not take place in order to allow this to happen for so long.
Councilwoman, sorry to interrupt you, but what I am really interested in is, where does the buck stop? The city manager's job is to oversee all of this, and yet $600,000 a year goes missing. No one blinks an eye. A lot of underlings are resigning, not being fired. Where does the buck stop? Does it stop at the mayor's office? Does it stop at the city manager's office?
Well, it absolutely stops with the city managers. But again, the city is much bigger than just the embezzlement. The embezzlement is a huge issue, but we also have a city to run. And so I've also said that if it comes to that point where the city council has a discussion and we have information that points to the city manager should be held wholly responsible for this, then we will make that decision in due time. But as of now, we still have a city to run. We can't operate with about 4 significant department heads, inclusive of the city manager, assuming we did fire him. And so we have to make sure that the city continues running.
Well, to that point, there's also a lot of controversy surrounding the police department. Some police officers were protesting just the other day, concerned with the amount of pay, the amount of staffing. So as mayor, how do you communicate and what do you communicate with the police department to settle this down?
Well, I think what you'll find right now is it's not just the police officers. There is a morale issue at City Hall, and the next mayor is largely going to be responsible for helping to restore that morale, and particularly with the police department, it centers a lot around the salaries that we're able to offer. Many of our city employing groups have went without salary increases within the last 3 to 4 years, and so we're looking to resolve some of that because there are a number of senior experienced police officers that know our community that are laterally transferring out to other agencies, and so we want to make sure that we remain competitive and can keep those experienced officers who know the members of our community so that we can avoid.
And how do you do that? How do you raise salaries without impacting your constituents' bottom line, their pocketbooks?
Well, those are the hard decisions that have been made because, again, we don't have unlimited funds, and the police officers need to be compensated, but so do all the other employees groups. So you can't necessarily make a decision about salary increases in a vacuum. It's not just about the police department, it's about the city. all the city employees and the city budget as a whole. And so those are the tough decisions. And down the line, when we start the budget season at the end of April, early May, those are going to be considered as well.
Well, you've been endorsed by the Police Officers Union. Do you have, with that endorsement, is there any influence you have on, with the, the Kendrick McDade, the OIR, getting them to stop the appeals for a redacted report to be released? Do you have any influence on that?
Well, of course, I'm supported by the Pasadena Police Officers Association. I'm grateful because I really view city government that works well as a partnership between all the employees and the mayor, city council, and the city manager. And as I've said from the beginning, since the shooting happened, I have been fully voicing my support for being able to release support within the legal fines that were limited. And right now, people are framing it in terms of the Police Officers Association holding up the report, but right now the city's hands are tied because the judge has to make the decision of whether or not to release the part.
But I thought
report.
He has made a decision, but through the appeals process, it keeps getting stalled.
Yes.
So
The
is there
police
any...
don't want it released, is my understanding.
Yes, the Police Officers Association is continuing to ask that the report be held back due to personnel information. And so that's what we're waiting on.
Councilwoman, I want to ask you a question. During the debate, you got very emotional at a certain point and began to cry.
Yes.
Was that a mayoral moment, do you think?
No, that was a true personal moment, as I said during the forum. Police, well, again, not just police officer involved shootings, but pretty much any shootings in the city, especially as it relates to District 1. I've been to every crime scene. I've spoken to every family. Inclusive of the incident that we had on Summit about a year ago. And, all of them are difficult. It's not easy looking someone in the eye to apologize.
Exactly. But I guess what I'm asking is, do you think that that show of emotion hurts you with voters, is really what I'm getting at?
No, I don't. I think you have to have compassion in public service. Not everything is the Rose Bowl. You're not smiling all the time, and we have to make difficult decisions that affect people's lives in a real way, and shootings is just one aspect of that. And again, it's not because I'm personally responsible, but as mayor and as a member of the city council, we all bear a certain amount of responsibility for every single thing that happens in this city.
And you've been connected to the city for a long time and
yes.
Involved with these people, with the constituents and residents. Speaking about mayoral and looking more mayoral, what are your plans for attracting businesses to the city of Pasadena? I know you talked about in the last debate, it's more about retaining the businesses we already have. But last time I went to places like Paseo, Colorado, it's dead.
It's both, but actually Paseo is looking very empty these days for a reason, because it is a new project. They're redoing the entire Paseo project. There's going to be a hotel that's added as an addition to that property, and so as they're preparing for construction, there are some tenants that have chosen to leave, and then others that are relocating to other areas of the mall, so that once they start construction, they won't be their business won't be as disruptive. Are the tourists
going to have shops to shop in once the hotel goes up? And
yes, yes, absolutely. It's going to stay open during construction, but again, it's difficult to have full-fledged business going on during construction. So they're going to do the best they can, but that is one of the reasons why the Paseo is so vacant. But it's not just maintaining the businesses that we have here. We have to make sure that we're attracting new businesses as well, and making sure that we remain competitive with our neighboring cities.
With the about 30 seconds we have left, I'm interested to know, should you win the election, what would be your legacy? What do you think, what would you like your legacy to be as mayor of Pasadena?
Well, I would like my legacy to be that, City Hall becomes more inclusive, and that we're able to have difficult conversations with all segments of the community. One thing that I've found as a member of the City Council for the last 8 years is that, we typically hear from the same people all the time, and this is a city of 140,000 people. Even with just the election, we know that we only had a turnout of 20%, but our city is much larger than that. So what I would like to see is more civic engagement, more participation, inclusive of those communities that we don't typically hear from, and that's what I hope that my candidacy and eventually my mayorship will bring to City Hall, is a more welcoming City Hall that everyone feels comfortable to give their input and help us make the decisions that are going to shape Pasadena for the future.
Well, we thank you so much for coming in. I know you just got off a big debate and all of that, but you have been involved in the city for so long, so we appreciate all that you're doing, and good luck to you in the election.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, take care.
See you soon. Best of luck.
Well, we're now going to get ready for a very special performance.
Stephen Stewart is here to tell us about his youth competition, and then we get a taste of talent with Tori Harvey, and that's coming up next.